He who kneels to avoid conflict will one day kneel to regret. Epictetus. No one respects a weak man, not even himself. He walks quietly. He smiles often. He avoids conflict. He bends so others don't break. They say he is kind, gentle, humble. But there's a word no one dares to speak aloud. Weak. And worst of all, he knows it. No matter how carefully he hides. No matter how many masks he wears. A man cannot lie to the one voice that speaks in silence. His own. Because weakness is not what others see. It's what you feel in the moments no one is watching. It's the breath you hold instead of speaking. It's the truth you avoid instead of facing. It's the weight you never lifted. The hour you wasted. The war you never dared to fight. And the soul keeps score. Seneca wrote, "A man is as miserable as he thinks himself." And no man thinks well of himself when he runs from challenge. No man respects his own reflection when he's made comfort a god. No man finds peace when he is ruled by fear. This is not the weakness of muscle. Not the trembling of hands or sickness of flesh. This is the decay of the will. The death of fire and the soul. The slow surrender to convenience, excuse, and silence. A man may survive this way. But he cannot live. He avoids pain, and becomes fragile. He avoids anger, and becomes resentful. He avoids decisions, and becomes a servant to the whims of others. And the world respects none of it. You see, people do not honor weakness dressed as kindness. They do not admire the man who never says no. They pity him. They use him. They forget him. Because respect is earned through resistance. It is granted only to the man who carries weight. Who speaks the truth that costs him. Who stands when others bow. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And most weak men believe they're good. Because they've confused goodness with softness. Because they've mistaken submission for virtue. But goodness without strength is hollow. It bends with every wind. It has no spine, no soul, no direction. It becomes whatever is safest. And a man who changes to survive never becomes what he was meant to be. You want the truth? No one respects a weak man. Not the world. Not other men. Not women. And not himself. Not because strength is about dominance. But because weakness is betrayal. Betrayal of duty. Betrayal of purpose. Betrayal of the man he could have been. The man who says, "I'll start tomorrow," lies to himself. The man who avoids confrontation shrinks his soul. The man who hides from pain chooses a different kind of suffering. The slow erosion of self-worth. Seneca knew this. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. And the weak man always craves something. Approval, ease, safety, validation. But the strong man desires only one thing: to command himself. And that is why people follow him. Not because he shouts. Not because he intimidates. But because he walks as if his steps are chosen, not begged. Because he moves with direction, not doubt. And that kind of man cannot be ignored. You want to be respected? Then be solid. Not loud. Not angry. Not dominant. Solid. A mountain in storm. A man who does not apologize for existing. A man who does not shrink to make others comfortable. A man who holds silence like a sword. Because a weak man speaks much, to hide the void inside. But the man of strength knows that silence frightens cowards and calms kings. What makes you respected is not power, but restraint. Not reaction, but control. Not submission, but sacrifice. To suffer for your principles, and not bend. To carry the burden, and not complain. To fall, and rise without drama. That is strength. And it is always visible. You can feel it in a room. You can see it in a man's eyes. In how he sits. How he breathes. How he says no, without guilt. How he does not chase, does not beg, does not explain. Because he lives not for approval, but for alignment. Epictetus wrote. The weak man is not hated. He is forgotten. He leaves no mark. He casts no shadow. Because softness, in time, dissolves into silence. And silence, if it is not born of strength, becomes erasure. The world does not punish weakness. It ignores it. It steps over it. It speaks past it. And a man can live an entire life. Invisible. Bending. Smiling. Apologizing. Until the day he dies. And even his name has no weight. But there is another path. A violent one. Not with fists, but with discipline. Not against others, but against the self that chose to be small. The Stoics never promised comfort. They promised truth. And the truth is this: no one can respect you until you've earned your own respect first. The resurrection of the man begins with refusal. Refusal to delay. Refusal to lie. Refusal to serve fear. He does not need to scream. He does not need to dominate. He simply chooses never to betray himself again. That's where strength begins. Not in power, but in principle. He wakes with command. He speaks with weight. He moves with will. And he breaks the first rule of the weak. Never make others uncomfortable. Because the strong man lives by a higher code. Never make yourself less to make others more comfortable. And that one shift, that one brutal standard, shakes the foundation of his old life. Because strength, real strength, makes others uneasy. It does not ask permission. It does not seek approval. It walks through silence with its head high. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." The strong man is not everywhere. He is rooted. He chooses. He withdraws from noise and moves with ruthless intent. Not rushing, but cutting. Discipline is his knife. Duty is his flame. And when temptation whispers, he answers with action. This is not cruelty. This is alignment. Because a man at war with his weakness must become strict. First with thought, then with speech, then with habit. And that strictness breathes respect. Not because others agree, but because they recognize truth. Because there is something sacred in a man who speaks and does not flinch, who holds the line when it costs him, who does not smile when he does not mean it, who does not say yes to survive, but says no to live. That kind of man doesn't need approval. He becomes the standard. The same people who ignored him before now pause when he enters, not because he demands it, but because presence does not lie. You can feel a man who lives by code. You can feel the fire of a man who stopped negotiating with weakness. He is not angry. He is precise. He is not arrogant. He is solid. He is not above others. He is above excuses. He has faced the greatest betrayal, his own comfort. And he has chosen war. And now, he moves with finality. He does not say, "I'll try." He says, "I will." He does not dream. He builds. He does not seek peace. He seeks readiness. And it shows. In the way he walks. In the way he listens without interrupting. In the way he holds the silence when others panic. In the way he chooses discomfort daily. Because he knows the softness of yesterday is the suffering of tomorrow. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is not a theory. This is instruction. What will you be? You say you want to be strong? Then you must act like someone who already is. Not later. Now. Because the clock does not wait for clarity. Time does not pause for motivation. The mountain will not lower itself for your convenience. If you are to climb, you must become hard. And here is the cruelest truth of all. Strength does not feel good. It feels necessary. Every act of discipline you perform, every rep, every word held, every lie rejected, hurts the weak man inside you. And he will scream. He will beg. He will call it unfair, too much, too far. Ignore him. Because his voice is the voice of every man who lives half a life. Every man who says, I could have. Every man who dies unknown. Even to himself. Let him die. Let the coward in you suffocate under the weight of your new standard. Let your softness crack under the rhythm of your new discipline. Because what rises from that wreckage is not just a man, but a standard, a pillar, a threat to every room that worships comfort, a question to every man who's settled. The rise of the solid man is the fall of every excuse, and it is terrifying to others because it reminds them of what they've avoided, and to yourself because it costs everything. But in that cost you earn one thing no weak man ever holds: peace. Not the peace of laziness, but the peace of clarity, the peace of knowing you no longer run, you no longer flinch, you no longer disappear when the heat rises. You are the heat. You do not follow. You carve. You do not drift. You drive. You do not wait. You act. And that is what the world respects. Not your smile. Not your ambition. Not your dreams. But your discipline. Your principle. Your refusal to collapse. Even when everything else has. Seneca said. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Then let every moment you breathe be an act of war against weakness. Let your mornings be drills. Your thoughts be weapons. Your silence be a fortress. You are not here to be liked. You are here to become unshakable. Because only then will you earn the one thing you lost when you were weak: your own respect. And once you have that, you will never need approval again.